Welcome to Politics Done Right on KPFT. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Give me a call at 713-526-5738. That is 713-526-KPFT. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right on KPFT. I'm Egberto Willies, your host, along here with Roxy. Roxy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Egberto. I'm so happy to see you on Monday nights at 9 o'clock. I thought you got a little too comfortable at 3 p.m. on Fridays.
Did you like the show?
I loved it.
Jeff Berg's show. You know, it took two of us to replace Jeff Berg, man.
Yes, and I like Mike. I enjoy.
He's a nice guy.
He's a nice guy. I like how you guys
played off of each other.
Yes, very well.
We have opposing characters, and you know it works. It works. You know, Mike has his show on Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Folks, so don't forget the Mike Honig show, Think Wing Radio, on every Wednesday at 10 p.m. And of course, you're here with me today, Mondays at 9 p.m. So come on out and listen. Hey, look, folks. Today, the phones, when you call, you're going to be calling to make a pledge.
Yes, it's fun.
Roxy, tell us about that.
It is Fund Drive. Now, most of you loyal listeners should know by now that we are a community radio station, meaning that when you tune into us, there are no commercials, there's no sponsorships, there's no one telling you how I lost weight and this is how you can lose weight too, and you don't hear any of that. And through that, you get to hear the huge variety that is here on KPFT. You get to hear things like, you know, Egberto Willies and Think Wing Radio, all the way to Queer Voices and the vast array of music shows that we have that you won't hear on the commercial dial. So what we need you to do is call 713-526-5738 and make that pledge so that KPFT can stay on the air, can stay doing what we are doing today. Keep Egberto on the air so he can listen to you guys, you know, agreeing or disagreeing. It's just all it's all good. It's just all good.
I mean, you can't miss it. But folks, look, we are going to be pitching today, and you know, I've called up Ernesto to come and do a pitch for me as well, but we're also going to have a show. So we're not only going to pitch to you, we're going to have a show as well, but we really need you to help us stay on the air, and it's 713-526-5738. Again, 713-526-KPFT, and our great Roxy says it this way.
713-JAM KPFT.
Absolutely, but let's get a little bit into the show, and then we're going to go back into some pitching again. So, look, folks, you know, it's been a crazy week, you know, but there's something that happened, you know, yesterday or a couple of days ago for Rolling Stones. Paul Krugman wrote a note saying, actually, Obama has been a substantive president, and you have a lot of folks on the left and the right either against that, or some on the left saying, yeah, that's true, but, whatever the case is. I did a little piece for Daily Kos where I discussed that. I also want to touch a little bit on Ebola. We'll probably talk a little bit about Ebola and the healthcare system after we do after Ernesto, I hope, runs in here to do the pitch for us. So Ernesto, if you're listening, I need you, because nobody knows how to ask our folk to help keep this station on air like you do. So I need you, Ernesto. Come on out here. But you know what time it is? Well, that time also.
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay, my blog post was a bit, it's a bit about asking you to think. Remember, we said President Obama's policies actually turned out to be good, not as good as it could be. But my contention with this post is that it could never be as good as it needed to be for us, the middle class. And here it goes. The name of the blog post is going to be called, or is called, Not Even a Much Improved Obama Economy Can Save the Middle Class. And that was featured on the front page of the Daily Kos yesterday. And here it goes. One had to chuckle after reading Jed Jewison's article, President Obama Plagiarizes Mitt Romney's Economic Pledge 2 years ahead of schedule, mostly because it reads like poetic justice. It seems Obama has been able to fulfill Republican policies. He does them with a twist of our democratic values. It is also ironic that President Obama's economy has outperformed Reagan's economy with absolutely no fanfare. Folks, a lot of these things that you're going to hear here, that I'm going to read in this blog, you don't hear in the real news. That's supposedly the real news on MSNBC, ABC, CBS, NBC. And that's why we need to be here, because we tell you more than just the cookie cutter information that you get. Continuing with my blog. Last week, President Obama gave a speech highlighting all the economic accomplishments of his administration. They are real. He was frank in highlighting a sad reality. While in the aggregate his numbers surpasses those of most presidents, most of the gains for this or for his accomplishments went to a select few. He knows the game is rigged. He knows the game is rigged. We know the game is rigged. Unfortunately, given our corporatized economic system with a bias towards capital, President Obama is powerless. Absent a revolutionary change in our economic system, math is against the working middle class. Who is against the working middle class? Math. Math as expressed by those who run the country at this point in time, the corporations. Corporations constantly tell Americans, and by the way, folks, I'm not anti-corporation. I'm anti-bad corporation. I'm anti-selfish corporations. I believe in free enterprise. Corporations constantly tell Americans that they need predictable policies. They need some level of consistency from government. They want lower taxes, or else they will go to countries that offer lower taxes and fewer regulations. They want little, if any, regulation that allow them absolute free will in choices. In other words, they want a path laid out so that they can make fiscal decisions predictably and unobstructively. Corporations never seem to understand that their employees as well need some sort of predictable policies. Employees want to be able to make financial decisions for their families in a predictable manner as well. How much will healthcare cost? What types of raises can they expect in the aggregate? How many hours can they count on working in order to plan for family stability? In an economic system where the corporation has no legal responsibility to the employee, especially in right-to-work states, the employee, which Texas is one, of course, the employee by definition is nothing but a commodity. The employee is simply another expense. What? Want to maximize profits for the shareholder? Depreciate that employee or use a cheaper model. Employee depreciation has been occurring for decades as outsourcing and offshoring have been used to get cheap labor or force cheap labor at home for low-skilled workers. With the advent of the internet and improved logistics, oceans and large land masses separating producers of products and services to consumers are no longer a problem. They're no longer problems. Professions that were once immune to outsourcing are no longer safe. X-rays can be read cheaper in India. A Vietnamese or Brazilian design engineer is just as good as an American engineer. Call centers can be in any corner of the planet. The internet turns your voice into bits, ones and zeros that can be flown around the world, and you don't know who's answering your call. Every policy currently presented by President Obama or by most progressives are at best a band-aid. It will buy the system a few decades. In my opinion, it's actually less than a few decades. It is a rather simple math problem, folks. Most of the capital is owned by a few. Capital appreciation is taxed at a lower rate than wages. The capital of most of the rich on average grows at a faster rate than the economy at large. I want to digress there for a second because it's an important statement. In other words, if you are working, your income, your raises are very little. If you have stocks, your stock appreciation over time is limitless. In fact, it has been on average 7% per year for some time, which means those with capital grow, those without capital, those that are just dependent on wages, stagnate. And with a pie that is growing at only 3%, if some grow at 7%, the economy grows at 3%, and you guys don't get anything, mathematics is absolute. It tells you that the guys making 7% is getting that 7% out of you, not out of growth, out of you. It's a mathematical certainty. It is a mathematical fact. Applying world numbers show that more and more of the growing pie goes to the few. Math guarantees that eventually only crumbs are left. As Richard Wolff explained, the resemblance of prosperity was accomplished with stagnant wages through credit. You remember back in the 90s when everybody thought things were great? Oh, there was a semblance of greatness. There was a semblance that all was well. But if you looked at how credit was rising, the net difference between wages and credit is where your supposed, not wealth, but supposed joy of having came from, my friends. The shrinking pie was not immediately obvious. When credit runs out, reality sets in. The crash occurs. Vis-a-vis 2008. So what is the solution? Math. Math is always the solution. Our economic system is biased against the middle class. It does not reward those who actually produce. It rewards a privileged few who got acceptance implicitly or explicitly into the capital markets, mostly through inheritance or capitalized invention of some product or service. In other words, you invented something, and some one of those capital-loaded folk come and say, so you invented a new wheel. I want it. I'll make you rich, not folks building this stuff rich. I'll make just one person rich so that we can continue to extract. It's a circle, folks. It's a circle. It's a circle. Many believe they are entitled to unlimited wealth. That is false. We play by the rules of a man-made economy. Those rules currently allow for unlimited wealth without regards to the effects on society as a whole. Those rules must be changed in a manner that benefits society as a whole while not stifling the will to innovate. We know this is possible because America is still one of the most innovative countries in the world. We also know that bankers and investors do not innovate or create anything of value, yet they are the wealthiest. The reward model must change. Most of the innovation in our country comes from regular middle-class scientists, engineers, doctors, cooks, cleaners, and others, just like you and me. Folks, when was the last time your worth was given to you? When was the last time on TV the truth was given to you, where it was said to you, folks, you are the ones who make America. It is your will. It is your innovative spirit. It is what you are able to do that makes society. Not the folks that they have parading on the news on MSNBC and around a table, or on NBC around the table, sitting down talking about what makes America tick. You know what makes America tick? You do. So then, how comes you don't hear that on stations? Those nice flashy stations with nice flashy studios. But you get it here. You get it here at KPFT. Roxy, where do you get it?
Only here at KPFT.
Listen, The thing, folks, is we have to get serious. A lot of times we sit back and we complain. We complain that things aren't going right. We do complain about things not going right. How can we really start getting things to go right? We take control of our own lives. We take control of our own future. I see you looking at the screen. Please tell me that is Ernesto who is kind of coming through that door. Is that?
That is.
Well, you know what? Come on in, Ernesto. Come on in, buddy. Yeah, how you doing?
Egberto, man, I think we were in the same situation.
Man, Ernesto, I first of all, I want to thank you for that because, you are KPFT, and the folks at KPFT know that you know all that goes along in here. So, I mean, folks, we really need your help. I promised you earlier on that we weren't only going to do pitching, but we're going to do shows as well. I want to remind you that you can actually send the phones are going to the Pledge Central right now, and we need you to give a call and make sure that this show stays on air. Remember also, if you want to talk to me directly right now, just go ahead and send. I have my stuff up and ready to watch all tweets come into #PoliticsDoneRight. So if there's something you want to send it to #PoliticsDoneRight. I want to talk about a little bit about a giveaway, Roxy. I wrote this book called As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. And it's a book that I wrote a few years ago that I'm giving away 10 copies of that book. So why don't 10 of you call and make a pledge, 24 cents a day, folks.
Yeah, it's just so easy. And I understand sometimes the pledge drives get annoying, whether
Yes.
it's PBS or here at KPFT. However, it is so easy to give to KPFT. If you give a measly, not measly, I'm sorry. If you give $40, that is 11 cents a day, and that's $334 a month. So what that is if you want to give $200, but you don't have $200 right now, we can easily bill you for $16.67 a month, and that'll just be taken out of your account, and you won't even know it's gone. It's literally, what is that, lunch for one day?
For one, yeah.
And it can even be smaller than that. We cannot be here without you, and that's why we also want to cater to you. We have a countless amount of not only books like Egberto offered, but we also have tickets to musical venues all over this city. You name it, we want to give it to you. We have KPFT memorabilia. We have personalized, if you want to if you want to call up right now, but we want you to give to Politics Done Right, but if you want something from another show, we can get it to you. We are totally catering to you because you, the listeners, cater to us, and we cannot say thank you enough. So please call 713-526-5738, 713-526-KPFT. We need it. We need it. Like Egberto said, Ernesto said, we go by every pledge drive has a purpose, and when we're asking for money, we really do need the money, because if we don't get it, we won't make it to the next month.
Right, and let me just say one thing. We do, all of us here that do these shows, Politics Done Right, Think Wing Radio, Jeff Burke's our Partisan Gridlock, or The Monitor, all these great shows that come out here and give you a lot of news that you don't get, let's say, elsewhere. We're doing this. I hate to just say we are doing it for free, because I don't consider this doing it for free. I actually consider this an honor to be doing this. This is actually an honor to be able to come across to my fellow Americans and talk to them about what they're not getting elsewhere.
This radio station is run on volunteers.
Yes.
There are a very small group of people who actually benefit from working here at KPFT, and I don't even know if benefit is the right word, but everyone, 99.9% of the people you hear on this station are completely volunteers, taking time out of what they do in their lives and just to come on KPFT and educate, inspire, share on the airwaves, which is, I don't know any other FM dial, anyone on the FM dial that does what we do.
No, it's volunteers. I mean, when Roxy comes in here and she does it, I mean, we are volunteering. When we're here at night like this, it's volunteering. But the real issue is this. I used to say it this way: can you buy me a cup of coffee? That's what it takes. And a lot of our pledges, it's no different than
a cup of coffee. And it's no different than giving $1 to someone on the side of the street, side of the road.
And what you get for that is a station that is going to cater to you. What you get is a station that is going to, that we don't have to satisfy any advertiser that means we can't speak about certain issues. So when you hear us talk about issues on these shows, it's there. We're talking about issues coming from the heart. Now, when I wrote that book, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, it was just out of the blue. Things were going crazy in the country, and I sat down in a Starbucks and said, you know what? Let me learn something, and in the process of learning, let's share what was learned. So for what are we offering for that? I think it's a $90 pledge.
For $90, if you want to pledge, call in and pledge right now. You can get Egberto's book, which is
As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom.
And I don't even think you can you can't go to a Barnes & Noble and get that book, can you?
Well, yes,
okay.
They have it, but I mean, you want to do it from...
Yeah, you want to do it from KPFT,
right.
First of all, but also, there's KPFT, and I know Egberto talks about this all the time, alternative news sources.
Right.
KPFT is an alternative news source, and that's why not only can you get Egberto's book, but other books that you typically can't go into a Barnes & Noble and get. You are not only getting that book, you're also supporting a great cause. It's totally tax deductible. I don't even know how else we can dress it up. It's tax deductible. It's a feel-good moment for you. I was answering phones today, and people were calling up and wanting the premiums and, doing this. And one guy said to me, he said, I've been listening to you guys for a year, and it's about time. I needed to, pay up and do my thing. And it was just so heartwarming to actually hear for the first time someone say, you know what, it's my time to step up. So it is. If you've never pledged before, we'll welcome you with open arms. We'll when you pledge to KPFT, you become a part of the family, and your opportunities don't stop there. You can come in and talk to our office manager. He is great, knows everything about KPFT. You can totally come and talk to him and be like, hey, I want to get involved, or hey, I want to get a radio show, or I want to help answer phones. I want to help.
You just gave me an idea. This is a community radio. You know what? The first person, and I'm just pulling this out of the air, the first person that goes ahead and give me a $200 pledge, we're going to sit down here and we'll sit down together and do a show.
Please.
And you'll be in here working with us on a show. Okay, you'll be sitting down next to myself and Roxy, and you'll be in here and we'll be dialoguing so that America can see that, or Houston or the Houston area can see that this is a community radio station, and you can be a part of the show that you normally listen to.
Yeah, and you don't have to be a caller. You can come in here and sit with us and talk.
Absolutely.
And just anything you want. If you've heard Egberto at any other point besides Pledge Drive, you know that he's honestly one of the most open-minded people that I've met here at KPFT, and you can literally talk about anything, and he will listen and he will learn from you. So that's why you need to call 713-526-5738, 713-526-KPFT, Jam KPFT. We need it. We don't ask for it for...
And guess what else, Roxy? When they come in here and they sit down, if you give that pledge, you sit down here with us, and we'll have you nice and pretty, a nice video of yourself in a studio that's performing and talking over the radio, and you can give that away to your relatives,
You
or
can
you
show
can throw
that.
it on YouTube and say, look at me in a station.
Yes, and not to mention you can show people and be like, hey, this is what I did. I donated, and this is what I got out of it.
Exactly. So call 713-526-5738, 713-526-KPFT, and Roxy is going to continue it this way.
713-JM-KPFT.
So Roxy, don't you think that's a good idea? Come on into the studio. We'll take a video. We'll prepare that video, and it's going to be a video of you at the studio being a part of a real program, and you can show all your friends.
Yeah, and you can come in and choose the topic for all, for not for all we care, but it's you donate, you call the shots, and that's what KPFT is about.
Yeah, so I think that's a good thing, because not only that, they can see that this is something they can feel, this is something they can touch, this is something that they can be a part of, and when we sit down here and talk real news, they can be a part of it and see that it's just not voices and ones and zeros coming through the network. We are real, and we are the community radio, and we're going to do what is necessary to give you fact-based information, and you can see that. Can you go up to any of the other guys and say, I want to be a part of that, or I want to see how it's done? I don't think so, but this is your station, so why don't you help us support the station?
Absolutely.
Anyhow, go ahead.
Let's talk some news, Egbert.
Yeah, let me tell you some interesting things now. I've been very concerned about what occurred with the Ebola thing in Dallas, and I want to use this as a push for why it is that a lot of our own many of the folks who are really selfish about talking about who and who should not get health care, or who should not get free health care, is actually not seeing the whole forest. Or I don't remember how that phrase goes, seeing the forest for the trees or whatever. Somehow the phrase goes. Anyhow. But look at what happened with Mr. Duncan. The fact that there's a good chance that the reason he didn't get appropriate health care, the reason he was the only person to die of Ebola, was because he didn't have insurance. And you know how we are as a country, or not us, but many who don't want to give health care to the immigrant, who doesn't want to give health care to those that are not residents or citizens or whatever. The thing about it is, diseases like Ebola knows no culture, it knows no nationality, it knows no social status, it knows nothing. All it knows is it can hurt you. And the fact that we have a system here where somebody is turned away from health care, and that person could be contagious, means that whether you were able to afford health care or not, you're still susceptible to what has occurred.
Can I rebuttal you?
I really would love for you to do that.
Okay, because I understand Ebola is scary, and we don't understand it, and I think that's what makes it the most scary thing about it. Mm-hmm. However, I don't necessarily agree that because the man did not have insurance or the appropriate insurance to get treated is the reason why he died.
Okay.
Granted, it could have had a factor,
mm-hmm.
But I think the fact that he got it and we just don't know how to handle it or treat it
mm-hmm.
is the main reason why he died. Now, I'm not saying that all those situations don't happen every day. People come in with a common cold, don't have insurance, get turned away and die. You know,
mm-hmm.
I think that is, what am I trying to say? As a factor as to that person's death is insurance. But I don't think in this Ebola case, because, I mean, I agree with you, Egberto. I think everyone should have health insurance, health care. It's, I've asked you, personally in my life, I'm trying to find, health care, and just figuring out what this big old Obamacare
mm-hmm.
thing is. But I don't think that I'm going to have to disagree with you.
And that's okay. Let me say first, and I'm going to come back and rebut your rebuttal. 713-526-5738, 713-526-KPFT. Please, folks, please give us a call and please help us keep these programs on air. Roxy says it this way.
713 KPFT.
Now, Roxy, I hear you. We are speculating, or I am speculating when I say that I think that because he didn't have insurance, his treatment was different than somebody with insurance. Am I speculating? You are absolutely right that I'm speculating, which gives you that right, and not only a right, but you can actually say, Egberto, my right to feel that that didn't occur is just as good as your right, because we're both speculating.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So that is granted. Now, what I'm saying, what I am inferring, however, from this situation is that every single person in this that has gotten Ebola and went for some sort of care, got some sort of care. Okay? Now, it wasn't that this young man didn't tell them he was in West Africa. It wasn't that this young man didn't say, come with a fever that was at 103 degrees. Okay, I would have to then say that they are either grossly incompetent or, and I don't think they are at all. I honestly do not think they're incompetent. I don't even blame the nurse. And I mentioned this a few places. I don't even blame the nurse or doctors, because I realize in these for-profit hospitals, the emergency room and every other room is a cost center. And if they can it's a cost center. And yes, thank you for the call very much. We need to hear from you. And when I get some information and for announcing it, I'll tell who it was. Now, let me tell you one thing, folks. Roxy is absolutely correct. We're speculating. But my personal belief is still that had this guy had insurance and they had that insurance card, that his care would have been different. And I don't think you can really malign the nurse and the doctors too much in that they work there and they have to keep the certainty of, the cost centers going.
However, I do think that it is very unfortunate that if the only reason this man got care without insurance is because he had a disease that is killing millions of people, and we don't want it in this.
Absolutely.
And so, granted, it probably wasn't like the top tier that we're expecting,
right.
Insurance, or, we should be able to provide whether you have insurance or not. But it is something that, that he still got care.
Right. Well, as one of the persons said, the care that he got was intravenous fluids, no kind of medicine, until folks started to say, why isn't he getting the other types of medicine? So, there are some other issues there as well. But beforehand, Roxy, I want to say something. There's a mention that I need to make. Kingwood area Democrats asked me, we have a lot of donors from the Kingwood area Democrats, and they've asked me to mention that on the first day, the 25th of, not the first day, but the first weekend of early voting, the 25th of October in Kingwood near the library, there's going to be a party. Democrats are putting up a table, and the Democratic candidates are going to be going out there. And by the way, my dear Republican friends, remember, this is a community radio station, so you have the right to ask me to announce the same as well.
Yes.
But anyway, the Democrats are going to be out there in Kingwood, Texas, from 7 in the morning to 7 at night with a party. Boom boxes, food, encouraging people to come out and vote. We're encouraging people to come out and vote. But folks, please remember, we still have 3 minutes. 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-KPFT. Roxy says it this way.
713-KPFT.
And what do we need from them, Roxy?
We need them to call and support this show. We need their help. We need our listeners, our community to stand up and support now more than ever. I know it gets annoying, it gets overwhelming, but I gave last time. But the thing is, you can't stop. If you listen, you can't stop, because our lights will go out. Our tower will go down. We will not be doing this anymore. And so that's why it's more important now more than ever to give 713-526-5738. 713-526-5738. 5738. And if you donate $150, like I said earlier, it's really simple. We can bill you. We can take out $13 a month from you. That's, like we said earlier, lunch. But if you pledge $150, you will have paid for Egberto to stay on the air.
There you go.
$150 is what it costs KPFT to do 1 hour of programming. So if you donate $150, you have paid for Egberto. You have also paid for Jazz Latino to be on the air. Just $150.
So think about it, folks. We really want to keep the station strong, vibrant, with alternate news. In other words, real news, real and music that you can't hear anywhere else as well. So give us a call, 713-526-5738, 713-526-KPFT. It's important that we hear from you. We promise you that what we do is give you, in at least a show, Politics Done Right is going to be giving you good information that you can use. Roxy?
It's time to give. Unfortunately, we got to get out of here and make way for Jazz Latino so he can make his pull to get you guys to donate. However, we thank you so much for the callers that we have received, the donations. We couldn't do it without you. But just remember, without you, we wouldn't be here.
Absolutely not. So, folks, thank you very much for calling. Politics Done Right. We'll be back next week. We'll have some more stories next week, and we'll be asking next week again, because we need you. This show is yours. This station is yours. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. You can personally reach me by sending an email to egberto@politicsdoneright.com. Remember, Egberto is spelled E-G-B-E-R-T-O. Change starts with you. 90.1 KPFT gives you information not tainted by corporate interest. Please visit kpft.org and contribute. Let's ensure continued access to real information and news remain available to all. Again, thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right.